Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Burns, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Library Commission's weekly online event where we cover anything that may be of interest to librarians across the state. We cover anything you can think of. We have guest speakers, web tours, training sessions, just introductory sessions about things, just anything that we think that may be of interest to you. We do these sessions live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. They last about an hour, give or take, and we do record the sessions every week, so if you are unable to attend, just join us here on Wednesday mornings. We do have all of our archive sessions here on our website as well, so you can go through this list and watch anything that we have presented previously. We include the recordings of the sessions, so you have video and audio for that, and if there are PowerPoint presentations included or any sort of slides that are on there, any websites, URLs that people have used, anything like that, we include everything we possibly can to help you watching the sessions. Today, our topic for today is, the title of it is Turning Your Library Around. And we have a group of people from our Sioux City Public Library here in Nebraska, up in the northeastern corner of the state. Their library they've done some great things there with getting things, getting their circulation up, getting their use of the library up. This is a presentation they did at our annual state library conference last fall, and we have been happy to have them come here and share it again here on our NCompass Live. So I've unmuted you, Dave. You guys can say hi if you're there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Okay. What I'm going to do is we have Dave Mixdorf, the director, up at Sioux City Public Library, and I assume that's Dan and Odessa there with you?
Yep.
As I had. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over control to you guys so you can share your screen there. Let's get that going. So you should see the pull-down menu to share what you guys have.
Okay, did we do that right?
Yep, I see it. Go ahead and start the show, and there you go. Now you're full screen.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so feel free to go ahead, start. Introduce yourself a little bit more, of course. I just did a little brief one there, and go ahead. It's your show.
My name's Dave Mixdorf. I'm the library director here. I've been here not quite 3 years right now. Our library website address is right up there, so if you're interested ever in taking a look-see at our website, you'll notice the birds, the picture of the birds. Our library is well known for the birds. We actually have an aviary sitting about 15 feet away from my desk out here in the main library. It's about a 20-foot long by about 5-foot wide aviary, and we get tons of people come in just because of the birds. And so if you hear birds in the background singing during this presentation, we're not outside, we're actually here. So
nice.
what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what we did at the library. When Odessa does her part, she'll kind of tell a little bit about herself, and then Dan will tell a little bit about himself. And what we're going to do is talking about turning your program around. What we did here at the library to change the public's perception of the library. June 1st is when we started here. Odessa and I were both brand new. I was hired, she was hired. A brand new library board was also chosen to replace the previous board, who was all dismissed. The previous board had gotten a little too, I don't know how you would correctly say it, power hungry, and were making all the decisions, were literally driving library directors right out the door. And so kind of everything started anew on June 1st. And within about a month's time period, we started already seeing changes. At the very beginning, the perception of the library, it was boring. There was nothing to do here. The programs just didn't fit their needs. The library lacked posters, pictures, books on display, any of that. I mean, it was the most sterile environment you ever saw in your life. White walls, no books sitting up anywhere. You know, it was very unique. It wasn't very kid-friendly. And the biggest comment I got from a lot of people, they didn't even know we had a library in town. And this is a library that was built, redone, about 7-8 years ago. Spent a lot of money on rebuilding it, and a lot of people still didn't even know it was here. In the last 2 years, these are the kind of increases and changes that we've seen. Circulation's gone double. This year, we're already ahead of that number. So we're looking at going up probably about 45 to 46,000 checkouts. Now, that may not seem much to some libraries, but over 45% of our population does not speak English or just learning English. So we're really I'm pretty happy on seeing that big change. We've been working with the community school and with the college and getting their GED and their ESL students to come in and check out materials here at the library. We're working now with also the community college for their students that are taking early childhood education to come in and check out their classroom books literally for that. Computer usage went from that to 27,000. When I first started, we had 3 computers that if you actually could still call them computers, it was very nice to call them that. They were so old, breaking down constantly, you couldn't log into them about half the time. The other 15 items that we had were called win terms, which were literally a internet connection little portal. And so people could get onto the internet, and if they typed a paper, they could print it, but if they wanted to save their paper, they had to send it to me as an email, and then come in my office. We had to download it onto a flash drive or print it from my office. That was the only way that people had access to doing any of that specialized stuff. At this time now, we have 18 brand new computers, all gotten through grants. The Bill and Melinda Gates grant and the Nebraska Broadband grant managed to get us all 18 new computers. We also did a fundraising because we had to meet a certain amount of money. We had to come up with about $9,000, and we had 2 years to do it. We got it done in about a month and a half. So that was a very nice thing. New cards issued. There was a big jump in that. This year we're also going ahead. We're a very mobile community here. On the average, about 50% of our population moves in and moves out in about a year's time period. So for new cards, that's a constant thing, letting people know that we're here. We're always issuing new ones. Reference questions, just that amount. And that this year is also up from last year. Adult programming attendance. Programming was probably our biggest accomplishment, I consider. We went from 684 participants in 2008-2009 to over 3,100 participants. This year we're a little bit ahead of that already, and we haven't even got into our summer type things that we do. Our children's programming went from 1,800 participants, almost 1,900, to over 6,000 participants.
Wow, that's amazing.
Odessa will tell you a lot of things that we did. Like I said, when we first started, it was really kind of unique because you didn't see a lot of kids in the library. What do we do to accomplish this turnaround? Okay, these are the kind of the big things that I considered most important. We just started first by interviewing the library patrons that were in-house, asking them questions, what they thought about the library, what we could do to change the library. I put out questionnaires on magazines, right over by the magazine area. Which magazines would you like to see added into our collection? Which ones don't we use at all? We did little studies by placing the magazines in certain positions and then periodically go by, check to see if they've been moved by somebody looking at them, keeping count of it. We deleted out a wide variety of magazines and added a wide variety of magazines. So just little things by just talking with the people is a big thing. Communicate with people who don't use the library. Questionnaires. We sent out a questionnaire through our utility bill. And I always get told that, if you get about a 2% response back, you did really pretty well. We got a 5% response back from patrons. And once again, there was a lot of things. I didn't even know you did this program. I didn't know you did this type of program. There was a lot of things people didn't know that we were actually providing in the community through the library. So that kind of opened up a lot of people's eyes. And we even had questionnaires come back from people. They said, I just don't use the library at all. And I mean, they were polite enough to even send that back, letting us know. So we got a pretty good response back from it and kind of opened up our eyes on certain things. Meet with civic groups and give presentations. I call this the rubber chicken situation where you have to go out and you go for the meals and all that kind of stuff. I'm now about on my second go-around with a lot of the civic groups. I'm going in and telling them literally what's changed at the library. This is probably one of the more important parts. If you're a relatively new library director, you're struggling with the library, get out and let those groups know, because your civic groups usually are the movers and shakers in the community. They may not use your library, but they know people. They know how to get a hold of people. And so when you run into, I'm looking for someone that would know information on this, you can get a hold of them, and they usually will know somebody to be able to give you an idea or a new program. You know, they have a contact. Meet with the local agencies and see what the library could do to assist their agency. We've done things with the American Red Cross, the Ottoman Society. We have a local group that's Riversance, which is a Renaissance group. They're actually coming in and doing a program this next month, and characters will be in their Renaissance costumes, talking about that time period, what it was like to live during that time period, and then how to get into actually doing performances and things like that. So if there's people out there interested in doing that. We work with the schools. There's other different agencies that we've worked pretty close with. The Extension Service is a high one that I recommend for everybody. The Extension is located throughout the United States. They work with kids. They work with adults. We've done programs here where we've done canning, food safety, health, just a wide variety with the Extension Service. So we work pretty closely with them on a lot of things. Talk with your area schools. Our community is a very low-income community. A lot of people here don't go out and buy their own books. They don't do a lot of that type of stuff. So the library is a big source for them in our community. We're a unique community because we have a really large community that's across the river in the other state, just 5 minutes away. But a lot of our patrons don't go over there. On our side of the river, there is no movie theaters. There is no like rec centers. There's no art museums. There's none of that type of stuff. They're all over on the other side. And once again, I mean, it's available to people, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable going outside of their community. Talk with area businesses. We've done a lot of that, different types of stuff. We've had a feed store that sells bird seed. They came in and did a presentation on bird feeding in the wintertime. There's different other businesses that we've gone in and talked with, and they end up participating by donating materials. We're working right now with Hy-Vee on doing an after-school snack program, and Hy-Vee is giving us materials at a discount, you know, due to the programming that we're doing. So a lot of area businesses can be good sources of both information and donations down the road. Do a review of the services your community provides and try to fill in the gaps. Like I said, since we don't have a movie theater in town, we are the movie theater. We don't have music venues unless you like going to the motorcycle bar, and so we provide concerts in the library. There's not an art museum, a history museum, and that sort, so we bring in humanities speakers. We have art up on the wall for people to preview. We have the opportunity for the community college students and high school students and elementary students to put up their artwork for display. So we're the art museum too. So we try to look at the different things that are here in the community that they don't have the opportunity to participate in because it's maybe located somewhere else. See what other libraries are doing and recreate their ideas to fit their needs. I like the word recreate. In other words, steal what other libraries are doing and just kind of fit them into your needs. There's certain little things that you can find. I like to look and see what the biggest libraries out there are doing and then see if that's possibly something that we can figure out how to do at our own library. Our biggest challenge that we run into is budget. Once you start seeing all the programs that we provide, you may go, boy, they have a huge budget for that. Our budget for programming is about $4,000. And of that $4,000, that pays for everything, even the craft supplies for kids' programs. I mean, there's just a wide variety of expenses that come out of our programming budget. And then also we rely a lot on donations from people. So there are certain things that we've done that we've received money that literally paid for maybe the summer reading program, all the entertainment that we get come in. Keep an open mind. Even if an idea doesn't catch on right away, keep trying. Some of these things that we tried at the beginning only maybe had nobody show up the first time or the first 5 times. Maybe we kept trying. We do a program called Reel to Reel where we show relatively a current movie that just comes out on DVD. The very first few times we had 0 or 1 person show up. Now we can get 5, 10, 15 people that will come to the movies. Some of these movies have become so popular, we had a donation to buy a popcorn machine. So now we pop popcorn and give away popcorn during the movie. Okay, I'm going to let Odessa now tell about her children's programming.
Hi, y'all. My name's Odessa. I'm the youth librarian here. I started June 1st of 2009 along with Dave. As Dave mentioned, the growth in our youth programming has grown drastically, and during those times I was only 3/4 time. And so even though we have a limited budget, I'm the only one in the youth department, and I was 3/4 time. And so we just learned to tweak and to change things to fit more the time frame that our parents were needing. And so in 2009, story times were held consistently just twice a week, and 2 programs that ran once a month. Consistency is a big thing when you're talking about working with families and kids to help keep things on a schedule. In 2011, story times are held consistently 5 times a week. We got away from just offering it once a month, and we do it weekly. That way parents can always remember, hey, every Friday I've got this story time. Every Thursday I've got this one. Consistency is a big thing to help keep those parents on track. Encourage partnerships with your community. Dave mentioned working with your organizations in your community. We had an access to move and music classes, storytelling with local teachers. We also utilize our local chamberettes, our Optimist Club, and the 4-H Extension Office for programming. They come in usually free of charge. They're volunteers. They run programs. They read to the kids. They do a number of things that my schedule doesn't allow for me to do, but yet I want to implement. Look at your community that you serve. In our community, we have a wide variety of different nationalities that speak different languages, and so we offer bilingual story times. We run a Spanish one, and we are looking for a Somalian speaker now to do a bilingual story time in their native tongue as well. Ask your parents who are consistently coming to story times if you have the need for that. Most of the time the parents are there already with their own kids. They don't have a problem sitting down reading in their native tongue along with English if you want to do it bilingual, and then prepare a craft for the whole family, you know, and run the craft yourself, but then you have your volunteer that's reading for you. Consistency is a big thing. I mentioned that before. Keeping your programming consistent is a major help to families to remember to stop in every time at this specific time every week. And being consistent with the special programs that you run monthly or yearly is a benefit as well. We do run Lego classes and contests on an annual basis. This is our 3rd annual Lego contest that we're having this year. And always hold it in the same month. That way parents and kids can remember, hey, that's coming up. I remember that. I had fun at that. Make the library a fun place. Dave mentioned that with when we both first started, there was nothing. Kids didn't want to come in and hang out. And like he mentioned, we don't have that rec center. We don't have the place for kids to go. And so after school, they're either on the streets, they're at home doing nothing, or they can come here and read and participate in activities that we have going on. And so we want to be looked at as the fun place that kids can go to participate. We've got kids here building with our Lincoln Log sets. Our summer reading program, we always end the year with Kids get to throw something at Dave. One year we did water balloons. Last year we did international foods. And so it brings kids in. It makes them excited to come and hang out at the library with us. Another program we ran that was a major hit was a stuffed toy sleepover. We had kids come in their pajamas with their favorite stuffed toy. The stuffed toy got a name tag, and the stuffed toys actually slept over in the library overnight. And what we did for the kids was we went around, took pictures of what their toys did during the night while they were home with their parents. And the kids got a book of pictures that had 4 or 5 different pictures of different things that their stuffed toy got into. Here we got a dog in Dave's office. We got a doll that built her girl's name. The snake got into the bird cage. Curious George reading a Curious George book. And the kids got all these pictures to take home with them. Every year we try and do a Dr. Seuss celebration. We had Cat and Hat visit one year, and we have a birthday cake, and we have guest readers from our local sports teams, such as the hockey team, the baseball, the indoor football league. They come in and they read, or have police officers, firemen, use your organizations that kids look up to, these guys, and show them how important it is reading with those community people as well. Some of our summer reading programs, Dave is a juggler, and so he does a World Juggling Day for us. One of my moms teaches string instrument playing to children, so she volunteered to come in. We have a puppet making session with a paid performer, and we utilize the Sioux Falls Zoo. They bring in some educating animals. The extension office was the Bugs from Around the World. Mad Science was a paid performer, and we use him every year. He's fantastic. Nebraska's Humanities Council, David Marsh, he was here last year. Nebraska Library Commission has a performers database that all Nebraska librarians have access to, with recommendations from other libraries. So look on their website to get information over these specific performers that I'm speaking about now. New areas in our library. We went, and when Dave and I started, we didn't have a specific teen area, and the kids area kind of took up just half of the about a third of the library, and so we wanted to specify specific rooms so the teens had their own room, and that would be this room here. We have the chess table. We have specific books reading for them. We have different displays that go on the wall. We also have a homework study room. The kids' room was very bland. There were no toys, no anything like that, nothing hanging on the wall when we first started. And so we designated a room specifically for that. We got kid-friendly furniture. We've got kids' computers. We got a puppet stage. With our teen group, this was a fundraiser, and the teens who participate in our teen group are active in many things at the schools, and so they were in drama and they wanted to experience something other than a school drama, and so we ended up having a teen murder mystery dinner theater where we had Hy-Vee help support our dinner and the fundraiser, and then we had Dave and Dan and myself, and then all of our teens participate in the murder mystery, where the audience participated and had to guess who the murderer was, and it was great fun. And I will pass it on to Dan now.
Well, I'm kind of the old timer of the group. I've been here since 2000, and when I started, adult programming was taking books to the nursing homes and to the shut-ins. That was pretty much the total of adult programming. When I started, we were just getting going on our building program, and that really took all of our energies as far as working with the community. We were constantly working with them to raise money, to get buy-in and stuff, and we did, but that was something that kind of exhausted the staff and the community a little bit. So between 2004 and 2007, once the new building was built, we realized one of our big needs was to have countywide service, because many of our children and youth that were going to South Sioux City schools couldn't use the South Sioux Library without a fee card. And so since 2007 is when we've been trying to really make all this stuff come together and work for our people and what they want. And so one of our first things we did, on my first evaluation, the director asked me, what would be one thing you want to do? And I said, well, a book club would be fun. So we started a book club. Cover to Cover started in the fall of 2002. And we had no idea what we're doing. We just put out in our weekly newspaper article that we were going to have a book group. Anybody who would like to come, come. We had 5 or 6 people show up, and most of those people are still with the Cover to Cover group. And we just celebrated, we're in our 10th year together as a group. One of the things that really helped us, or helps us every year, is the one book programs. One book, one Nebraska, and one book, one Siouxland. Here's from the year we had Vicki Myron, the author of the Dewey the Cat book, come in and speak as part. That was our one book, one Siouxland book one year. And here we have her signing books, and then some of our library staff with a local vet who we had come in to talk about pet care. So that was one of the things we did with the one book programs. The nice thing about one book is it gets your book clubs have some exposure to the community. We always have about twice as many people come to our one book talks or discussions than we do anything else. Any of the regular meetings, usually we'll have about 8 to 10. Most of the time on the one book programs we have close to 20. So that's a pretty good sized group for that. As far as book club resources, like I said, the one book programs are huge. They're super. Some of the other resources that are helpful are the NLC programs, the things that the Library Commission offers. The Humanities Council has programs, has book lists and things, and the Big Read also gives you a lot of good ideas. Our people like to do a lot of popular books, and so I find reading group guides to be a really good resource for me as far as getting books for discussions. And there's the other library thing and the other things that are more interactive and social media types of things. Okay. Okay, that's it. There, all right, it was just being, okay. Along with Cover to Cover, we started Humanities Programming, and that was with the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial. We worked with the Visitors Bureau in town to bring in Lewis and Clark programming. We provided several humanities speakers. In 2003, we had a fish camp that was where Lewis and Clark supposedly camped, and we had a fishing contest, and we provided a large grant with several humanities speakers to do that sort of thing. Some of the things that are important with humanities programs is when you connect with the humanities programming, you realize sometimes, like with us, they were excited to get up into northeast Nebraska. And they've since then kind of contacted us on a few things and said, what would you like to do? And so you'd be surprised what you'll find when you start connecting with the humanities people. We also connected with local humanities people. We have people that are members of Humanities Iowa, but they're more than willing, if we're wanting a program, to come over and negotiate a price and that to do that sort of programming and things. So, and always take into account your communities, what your community is interested in and what you're interested in. A lot of times as librarians we think, well, we're not typical, but we're still people. We still use libraries and what we are interested in really will drive us to do more if we really like what we're doing. Okay, some of the programming that we do as far as local programming, we've had a quilt show since 2005, and this we've later on coupled with the Outlaw Trail, see the byway, the quilt way thing. And again, that's something where we work with the Visitors Bureau to bring people into the community, bring in speakers, and plus have a fairly substantial quilt show to boot. We have in the lower picture in the center, Marcy Broyhill is a prairie poetess, and she is also a library member. She's helped us to connect with other people, and she's done her presentations at the library, which makes it really nice to have people that are performers and are entertainers that are kind of vested in your stuff. And Native American programming, some of our best attended things deal with the Native American community. We had Jerome Small do a thing on Native American dance that was well attended. At one point we did a talk with a shaman from the Lakota tribe, and we had over 134 people at the one event. We had people as far away from Kansas come because people were interested in what was happening. Other local interests, Odessa knows someone who does an Elvis impersonation show, and we brought him in for a musical performance, and it was one of our best programs ever. It was a very well attended, and people still talk about it and make over it. It was a great thing. For us, railroading was a big deal. We were built kind of because of the railroad, and we have contact with a gentleman that has literally written the book for the history of the railroads in the United States, and he's willing to come and talk about any of those types of issues. We've also had other speakers and poets going. One of my favorite things and kind of my pet project is musical programming. We've done concerts since 2007. We've had our first one was with Junie Fisher, who's up in the top left. She has we got her through an SOS grant. She was a contact through Marcy Broyhill. She was our first experience with programming. We've had the gentleman in the center was from Ireland. He was a storyteller, and his partner played the Celtic harp, and so they come in, and they've been here 2 times to perform. And then we've had an array of other performers that bring, like Dave said, bring a musical venue to our library. These are 2 sites that are really helpful. We do all of our programming now through the Concerts in Your Home program. This is a social thing. You sign up as a venue, and people just contact you and say, I'm doing a concert in Kansas, or I'm doing a concert in Des Moines. Do you have any open dates? And that's the way we make contacts with people to do that stuff. The unbound booking is if you want to spend a little money and get all sorts of programming through them. Those are the 2 best resources I know of, other than the Humanities and the Arts Councils. We've added an art gallery. Like Dave said, we had no art on the walls. We've worked with the local colleges to have students put their art around the building, and so you can just come in and walk around and enjoy the art. One of Dave's things that he really pushed that was really a great thing was the community gardening. Before Dave came in 2008, there was no community garden, nobody even thought of it, really. And he brought the idea up. We have a spot where people garden next to the library, and we have now, I think, 3 or 4 spots where people garden, and this allows us to do classes on gardening, canning, and all these things. But it's just that getting out and making the positive contacts in the community to do those things. We've been instrumental in working again with the Visitors Bureau in developing the Cardinal Festival. We've had a classic car rally in South Sioux for several years. We've matched that with the idea of a drive-in movie. And so we do the classic car show, we do a drive-in movie, we do children's activities, and then the Visitors Bureau sets up a large street dance. And this is the first time in many, many years we've had actual programming, so like a citywide festival in town. Again, Dave talked about movies. We have Reel to Reel, which is dealing with real social issues. We have the B-movie nights at the Bijou, which are, again, are self-explanatory. The fun B-movies that are so bad they're good. We do classic movie discussions where we'll show, one coming up is High Noon. We'll show that, and then there's a discussion that follows it. We have special movie presentations. On the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we did the Flight 93. When we had the anniversary of Spider-Man first being published as a comic, we did the first Spider-Man movie. We've done movies for the adult summer reading program, seasonal movies, and movies for things like African American History Month. And there's more. We do 20 to 25 tech classes a week. A month, rather. Sorry. I do fast and reading too slow. We do, when the government came up with the Medicare Part D, we brought in people from Hy-Vee Pharmacy to help seniors get on the computer and choose drug plans. When the digital TV thing was, we were making the big switch from analog to digital, we had classes on that. And again, we've had, silent movie film festivals, game days, all sorts of other things, many, many more. And this is our last big thing that we've put together, and it's our 50-plus area. One of the largest growing segments of the population is the over 50 crowd. We have rooms and nooks and things for teens and for children. We wanted to have a special place for the the 50 and older, and so we have some really comfy chairs in their own area where they can sit and read. And
far away from my kids.
Yeah, totally on the other end of the building, where they can just have a little bit of quiet, and that's been really well attended. We've had people that have come in just to see that and to try it out, and, grab a paper and sit down and read for a bit. And so that's our presentation. Are there any questions, or we'll kind of turn it back over to Krista, I guess.
Yep, hello. I don't know if you want to go back to your first slide or something here so we don't have the black screen on.
Oh, yeah.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's cool. No, that was great. So many things that you're doing. That's just an amazing, as we said, turning around of the library from what sounded like just a building that half the people didn't know about, and now it's, I think a lot of what you said is important, the part about just going out there, doing it, trying it. Don't be afraid to just come up with something and see what happens. It's something that I think a lot of libraries need to just jump on. Some people I think are just, well, what if nobody comes? What if we put all this effort into it? So what? You try something new. Try something different. And
just keep trying at it. Just keep trying. Yeah. A lot of our programming, we might get one or two the first time, the second time, and you're like, oh, this will never take off. But eventually it does. Just keep plugging away, keep planning, keep trying. And that's a big thing. You just need to keep doing it.
Right. You've got to wait for the word of mouth to spread that you're doing something.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Some of the things that you may not even think are really touching people. Our technology class, we have a Job and Career Accelerator program on ours. We've actually had 2 guys get jobs that had been unemployed for quite a while by going through that and taking the class and then start doing it. They've actually got jobs and come back and told us, and I don't know how many others.
Nice.
We had one older lady in the community that pretty much I thought she lived in her car. I mean, when you saw her, her car was always one of those jam-packed full with everything. You know, used the library a lot, but was very quiet. One day she came up to me because she had been coming to the movies. She was doing gardening. She said, you know, this has really changed my life around a lot here lately. I now do this, I do this, I do this. She now hangs out with some other ladies that are in the community. So, you know, little things that you may not even realize you're helping people without even knowing it.
Right, absolutely. We do have a couple of questions on that came in during your session. I decided to wait to the end. At the beginning, Dave, you had talked about the survey that you did of your community. Can you share like a blank copy of that with us? So I can put it up with a recording so people can see what kind of questions and things you asked.
Yep. Yep, I can do that.
Okay, great.
Pretty much, it was their main ideas, what they thought about the present library. And then there was things like, should we extend hours? Should we do this? You know, basic little things. My goal is still to do Sunday hours, but the city doesn't want to spend the money for extra staff. We have a lot of people in our community that Sunday is about their only day off from work. And so I could see that it would benefit quite a bit having Sunday hours, but it's just trying to convince them. So
absolutely.
The biggest thing I want to try and emphasize is that consistency. When we first started, it was so hit and miss for the kids programs. It was so hit and miss for the adult programs. Now, you know, people know that last Thursday of the night is movie night. They know that the second Thursday of the night is the reel-to-reel movie, the first showing on the third Saturday. So, you know, once you get some of these things set down, you know, some of our programs they pop in. Like you saw the picture of the Laurel and Hardy. We did that because that was, I believe, Stan Laurel's birthday. Right. His birthday anniversary. So we'll pop little things like that in every now and then. There's a variety of things that still we're interested in kind of trying to do. There's certain populations that we haven't got to yet. On the burner right now, we've got, in the teen area, we've got everything donated now. We're just waiting for the last thing. We're going to put in a computer that's just going to be able to watch DVDs on. So kids, we get a lot of kids after school that this is their spot to go to because there's no one at home. They don't have meals. That's why we've been thinking about doing an after-school snack program too. But they could then check out a movie and sit and watch a movie with 4 friends or 5 friends.
Right.
And have it quiet because they got headphones and everything hooked up to it. We're looking at putting in a genealogy area just for that specific purpose. We have a military families computer that was donated. Everything was donated. It has a camera, has microphone, and it's set in a special little room that families that have people serving in the military can come in and link up either on Skype or Yahoo Messenger and talk with their family members.
Yes, I remember the story about that. That was a very cool thing that you guys have going there.
So there's lots of little things that, you know, can pop into your head that you just think of. And I wonder if that would work here. I wonder if there'd be interest for that.
Yeah. We do have another question that someone has here. Let's see, it's pretty long. This library, they have several programs for all ages, but are interested in going outside the box for programming for adults. And I know you guys mentioned, I think, Dan, you're talking about the different groups you get to come in, the different organizations. They said they'd like to, for example, get a yoga class going, but it's difficult finding people to teach their craft or their program by donating their time and not charging. do you have any ideas on how you can convince people to free up their time to come in and provide a program for the library patrons at no charge that they might normally want to charge you for, especially when you've got, the budget issues that are going on?
That's a unique, yeah, that's a problem we run into here. South Sioux City is not the most volunteering community in town. So we're constantly struggling, and what I find is you just keep asking people, do you know so-and-so? I put it out to the board. I put it out to other people. We're looking at a volunteer to come in, and they'll ask and ask and ask. We're trying for a music grant, and we needed somebody to be kind of the expert on that. And we kind of sent it through the grapevine, through the email channel, and we had a high school music teacher that volunteered to help out, who probably would not be doing it any other way.
Right.
We have a lady, through my connections with the Spanish community and doing different things with the community garden and that, we've got a lady now doing, I don't know how to pronounce it, Zumba,
Yep.
dance, exercise. They're doing that now twice a day in our meeting room. I work with the special needs groups, the teachers and things like that, so we have a lot of programs that they do for their clientele here in the library. We've got now special needs students that probably, if they hadn't gone kind of through this little training, they'd not be using the library. We have several that come in completely on their own now. For the B movie night, one of the guys, that's what he lives for. And he comes in and gives me ideas on movies. You need
Nice.
to show this one or show. And he brings in lists, and then I look up to see if we have the copyright permission to be able to show it. So he's actually kind of taking charge. And this is a kid with autism. So
great.
He's learning some good skills here for doing that type of stuff. So, yeah, it's a challenge to find. There are some programs we're considering down the road that we'd actually charge a fee, just for the fact that to find an expert in that, it's very difficult. We want to do an Adobe Photoshop and really work with editing videos and things like that. And one of our tech staff members who doesn't live in town, and so it would be a big burden on him to actually stay here for those types of things. We're thinking of charging for that type of class, but that would be a special situation because almost everything we do is free.
Here's a suggestion. Here's a suggestion for the question. If they don't find somebody that wants to volunteer just for the sake of volunteering, maybe suggest that it's a good way for them to promote their business. It's to offer to hang up posters for their classes, like with the yoga specifically. Say, well, when you have yoga classes, we'll be a place that, we can hang the posters or we can hang flyers for you for your classes. Or maybe you come and teach a class for us, a class or two, and we'll get people interested that will come to your yoga studio. And so take that spin. If you're trying to get a volunteer, take that spin and say, look how much it's going to benefit you in the long run if you come and do this for me. And so take that spin from it too. That might be a way to go at it too.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind too, was to tell them this is promotion for everything else you do. Do something generous for the library. People will see you. They'll know that you're there. And then what else you do when you do your own classes at your studio or whatever, you'll get they'll come and maybe come to see you there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about making sure that your volunteers are getting promoted for what they do in their business and their jobs as well, and showing them the benefit of what they'll gain out of coming and volunteering.
Yeah, show that it benefits both sides. It's not just you're using them to come in and show something, give something free to this community, that it comes back and benefits them as well. Yeah, and it sounds like also a lot of it, from what Dave was saying, is it's all about networking and who you know. Yep. And you might not even realize you know someone who could do something. You're chit-chatting with someone, and when you're hanging out with them in a personal situation, and they say, oh, well, I'm really into B movies. Really? We have this thing going on at the library. You should come and help us with it. That kind of basic. And this thing I've heard a lot of people talk about is when you work for the library, you always are on. Always keep thinking about when you're talking to someone. Don't be pushy and annoying, but if something comes up, connect it in your mind to how could this be something we could do at our library? Yeah.
Well, it's funny because out in the community and Dave and I especially, and probably Dan too, when we're seen out in the community, we're seen as the librarians at the library, and they come up to us and they talk to us about certain things. And so our job doesn't start and stop when we're on the clock here at the library. It's all the time, no matter where we're at. And I have a teenage son, and we were walking through Target, and there was like 5 people that stopped and said hi and talked to me about stuff. And he goes, "Geez, Mom, Miss Popular." So even if it's outside the library walls, we are always in contact with our own community.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something that also asked about the yoga thing, they had thought about having just a DVD playing instead of an actual in-person teacher. Have you guys done anything to do with that, like putting in an instructional, if you couldn't get the actual person to come, just putting in a DVD on the TV and having that be a program?
For the Zumba, that's how they're doing it. They have a person that's kind of leading it, but they do it through that exercise DVD type thing. And we've had several other things that they've done that way. Just the other night, I did the Great Backyard Birdwatch. And if you actually go to their website, they have a PowerPoint. And I showed the PowerPoint and walked people right through how to participate in the Great Backyard Birdwatch. And had people come in and sit there and listen. And this weekend is the Great Backyard Birdwatch, and people keep charts and write down information. And so from that group, I told them, well, also in April, we have someone from the Audubon Society, someone I know that's on the Parks and Recs department that belongs to they're going to come in and do a bird watching class, literally a beginning one, and then later on, probably on the weekend, go out to one of the lakes. And the library, through another grants are the biggest thing for getting money for things you can't afford.
Yeah.
We got a big set of binoculars that we use for the night sky. Well, we're going to use it for the bird watching too. And those things are powerful enough you can set up on one shore and look across all the way across the other side with it. And then through that conversation, one of the police officers who came with his son for the bird watching says, well, you know, the police department has all these scopes too that we use for different things, so you could probably use them for that. I said, well, yeah, and this is the police officer that came to something else, and I was talking about, you know, volunteerism and that. He said, well, I don't really have anything. I said, well, everybody's got something that they can do that they like. He said, well, I like to barbecue. So last summer we tried to set him up. He was going to do a barbecue class, but due to the floods, our police department kind of got swamped. So this year he's going to do a barbecue lesson. And how do you take those cheap cuts of meat and make them so you can turn them into fantastic meals on the barbecue or grill?
Ooh, yum. See, and there it is. It's just, things happen. It's just happy accidents sometimes, yeah.
One thing that I do want to make a point of, because I participate in yoga and things like that at our local gym, with the DVDs, if you don't have an instructor, you do want to be careful with any kind of, I don't want to put the damper on it, but it's something that you should think about, any kind of injuries or anything like that when you don't have an instructor. And so that's something that you probably should consider too, if you don't have an instructor.
Yeah.
And so that was just one of my thoughts that popped into my head.
Right. For insurance type issues, yes.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I keep emphasizing all the time, think outside of the box. I'm sitting here looking across my office right now, and I see our Three Stooges collection of movies over there. In, I believe it's June, it's Mo Howard's birthday anniversary. So we're going to do a Stooges movie marathon and probably have about 2 to 3 hours of nonstop Stooges going on.
And one thing that we're looking at with the children, and I am now full-time. I made full-time in October, and so that freed me up for about an extra 10 hours of extra time where we incorporated technology classes that I help teach. But also, I'm starting an online story time for those parents that can't make it into the library. They still get to hear me read. They get to see the craft that I prepare with the kids. And so always think, what is your community lacking? What do you need to participate and provide for the people who, you know, and so that's reaching a whole nother section of people who can't make it to our library, who have access to it 24/7.
Right, and that was one of the things you mentioned, Dave, I think, when you're talking about the survey and questioning the community, is think about the people that aren't actually coming into the library. They can be your users as well. they can be your patrons, and they don't even have to come in the door, or the ones that have never come in, as you mentioned, figure out how to get them to come in. But even like what you're saying, the people that access the library via the website instead, that's just as valid a use as coming into the actual building. Yep.
Yes.
And getting out there. I mean, that's the big thing. When we first started, we did not have a good connection with the school.
No, we didn't.
And we now have, there's 3 schools that participate in a school reading night where the school will come in, teachers and parents have a PTA meeting, and the kids are getting stories read to them by volunteers in the community. Anywhere from 100 to 250 people will show up on those nights. We'll probably sign up 10 to 15 new library card holders on those nights. We did last year a Music in the Schools Appreciation Month where they brought in artwork and music, and we had over 450 people jammed in this library. I mean, we didn't know where to put everybody, but we had concert down on one end. We had a puppet show that the kids put on down on the other end. There was artwork up on display everywhere. I mean, and so we're getting really a pretty good setup now with the community. There are certain groups that I still want to continue working with the homeschool group. They come in and check out books, but they really don't do other things. I have a background as a school teacher, so I can actually kind of teach research skills and different things like that. There's a variety of things. Our biggest problem right now, staffing-wise, there's only 3 of us that really kind of do programming, and Odessa has probably about, I think we're over 280 kids programs now in a year. Adult programming, now that we've got the computer ones, I can't even take a guess anymore. We were over 120 programs a year without the computer classes. And now that we're doing about 25 computer technology classes a month, well, you can just see how busy we can be just with programming.
And not only do we program, but we're the ones that implement the programs as well as doing the rest of our business, our jobs and our businesses. So.
I do have a question about the online story time that you were mentioning, Odessa. Have you had any issues or thought about copyright issues with it, depending on which books you might be using for it?
We look at it. We're not in the process of making any money on it, anything like that. It's just like a regular story time. But we're just figuring that, it's just simply like we're videotaping her telling the story. If we run into a copyright issue, we'll have to kind of check with that as we go along. We can probably get a hold of each and every publisher and ask if that's a possibility. But we've done a couple podcasts on different things already, and we've not run into any issues at all. So.
Yeah. And someone else just mentioned there's a website or something called Tumble Books that is a resource for online books read aloud. So obviously it's been out there. I just did a quick Google search. It does look like some libraries are also doing online story time, so people have figured it out or are doing it. So it's out and about as a service. Yeah. Great.
Yep. And Tumble Books was one that we participated in a free trial, and it was a success. But with my capabilities, we felt that we could implement me doing it and having the craft as well and other book suggestions rather than paying the service through Tumble Books.
Right, yeah. So that's the thing, that they would do it for you, and then you just provide a link to their things. Rather than that, you're just going to do it yourself from scratch.
Correct.
I mean, you're doing it anyways in person, so.
5 times a week, yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I am going to take control back now because we do have one question about, was from earlier when you're talking about the movies, that is licensing required to show the movies. And I know that here in Nebraska, and I know we have people on the line who are not from Nebraska, that the Library Commission, the Nebraska Library Commission here, has paid for a motion picture movie public performance copyright site license. So it's a statewide license so that libraries can, and here's the information on our website about it, show movies. This would be something you could check in with your own state if someone there has done it, if it's set up. If not, figuring out doing it for yourself. But there are licenses that you can get and how you can pay to do that. And like I said, the Library Commission pays for it on behalf of all the states, all the libraries in the state, so that they are covered to be able to do that. So any last questions, comments, suggestions, anything anybody has to from the audience or from you guys? Looks like people have been pretty good. Yes, they want to. Someone does want to know, can they contact you guys directly for ideas and to chat about things if they want to?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sure. Yep. You can go through the library's website. They can contact you, I assume.
Yes.
Find everything on there. Yep. And that link to the website, all the links that were in that PowerPoint that we all watched will be included when we put out the recording of the session, so everyone will have access to all of that there as well. And that was great. We got some great comments, very inspiring, great webinar from our audience for you guys. So that was, yes, I'm very impressed and happy with everything you guys have been doing. Sad that things were not doing so well in the past at the library, but I'm sure that your community and everyone is thrilled that there are now things to do in town for people who didn't have anything to do, as you were saying. Yeah. Didn't have the resources in town. Yeah.
Biggest thing I keep emphasizing over and over, look at that community. Since we have such a huge migratory population here that comes in, moves out, a lot of the second language individuals that come here, the gardening sprang out of that. We had so many people that were low income, didn't know how to grow their own food, so we literally started those gardening classes for that. Then the community garden sprang out of that, and now we're at the point of this year starting a farmer's market. So individuals that have been taking some business classes that another organization offers through the library has taught them how to be independent little businessmen. And so bread baking and making Spanish donuts, and I don't even know all the terminologies for all these things. Being able to put together those types of things in the community. It's just looking at what your community needs and figuring a way to go about doing it. With our canning classes, we've done baking classes, decorating classes. You just about name it, we've tried it.
As you said earlier, go and see what they're doing, South Sioux City is doing, and recreate/steal whatever they've been doing for your library. Take their advice.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Dave and Dan and Odessa. That was a great session. I think we'll wrap it up now. We're a little after 11 o'clock, but that's okay. We started a little after. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
And since we are talking about getting ideas from other libraries, I do want to mention just briefly something that is coming up in a couple weeks that maybe you might want to be involved in and take a look at. Big Talk from Small Libraries is an online conference that the Library Commission here is organizing. It's on February 28th, so coming up in about 2 weeks, where we've got smaller libraries from around the country will be speaking about what they're doing in their libraries. We've got 10 different speakers, I'm not sure, but this is the website for it that you can go to, and registration is still wide open, of course, will be till probably the day before, but definitely take a look at that if you want to get some more ideas for things that you can do in your library. This is an all-day online conference using the same GoToWebinar software we're using right now, and it is free. There is no cost for it. You can pop in as you want throughout the day. It's be all day long, 9 to 5, I believe, and come in and take a look at the sessions that we have here and see if there's anything that you might like to watch. And we will be working on recording it as well, so if you're unable to make it on February 28th, the recordings will be available for you after that. So that will wrap it up for today's NCompass Live, and my promoting our Big Talk conference. I hope you'll join us next week when our NCompass Live session will be Learning to Live Without a Statistical Abstract. As you may or may not know, the U.S. Census Bureau, the U.S. government, has decided to no longer publish the statistical abstract in the United States, which I know lots of libraries use. I remember I used it a lot when I worked in a university library. And so we have someone coming in from our University of Nebraska in Omaha, James Shaw, who will be showing us what's going on with that and what we can do as in place of the information that we used to get out of the statistical abstract. So that will be our session next week. I hope you'll join us for that next Wednesday morning. Other than that, thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.